Hi guys, today I'm doing a video. I asked you guys if you wanted to see on my Instagram story and you all said yes. Well, 80-something% of you said yes, so we're doing it. I haven't done a video about my anxiety in a while and I thought I would do an update because I know a lot of you guys reach out to me to ask me questions, advice, just to feel related to, and I thought that, you know, now that I'm kind of on this journey with my anxiety, I thought I would share what that journey is. So about a year ago, if not longer, my anxiety was at its peak. You guys can go watch my old anxiety videos. I've done quite a few of those where I talk about, you know, how it started and what it felt like and all that stuff, different tips. But in the last year, my anxiety has gone from, like, you know, super terrible where I could barely leave the house to the point where now I'm driving far distances by myself, going on dates, like, it's doing really well and I'm like really proud of myself for it. So I thought I would share that with you guys to kind of give you hope, but also let you know kind of how I've gotten to this point. Last summer I had just really bad anxiety. I got to a point where I've had anxiety for ages and just never wanted to take medicine for it. I thought I can control this. You know, I thought it was something that I was doing to myself. I always just thought, you know, I can, you know, power my way through. I can think stronger and more positive. But I got to a point where that wasn't working. No matter what I did, I couldn't just power through. It got to a point where I didn't just get anxiety from triggers, which is pretty common, you know. If you get anxiety from driving long distances, you might have a panic attack the night before a trip or a vacation. And those kinds of things, you know, there's a trigger, there's something that you know makes you anxious and you have a panic attack or anxiety building up to it. And that's what was happening, but it got so much worse to the point where I canceled all plans. I literally had nothing to do but stay home and work. And I still felt anxious. I would just be sitting around watching TV and I would feel anxious. Now last year I did have a lot of health problems. I found out I had a heart condition. I spent a night in the hospital. I sprained my ankle, so I couldn't really get around very well for a while there, and a lot of things just kind of piled on top of each other, and I did a lot of avoiding. And I know that's something that happens to a lot of people with anxiety, is that instead of trying to face it and push through and really, you know, come out the other side and be like, I faced my fear and I'm feeling better, I would avoid things. I would say, you know what, I want to hang out with my friends and drive an hour to go see them, but I know it's going to make me anxious, so why even bother? Like, I didn't want to cancel plans with people like right before, so I just said I couldn't go from the beginning, and I did that a lot. I even had one of my friends who lives close by like come over to hang out with me because I didn't want to go out of the house. I couldn't leave the house by myself. I could barely go down the street to like the post office by myself last year. So I finally came to terms with the fact that my anxiety wasn't just, you know, something in my brain that I was making up. It wasn't me overthinking or overreacting. It was actually a chemical imbalance, and that's something I think it's really up to you to decide. I know medication is not the right option for everyone. It took me a super long time to get on board with that for myself because I am very small and medication affects me really badly sometimes. I get side effects, and even my heart medication I have to take it differently than most people because I am so small. So with anxiety, I had a lot to consider when it came to medication, but I thought, you know, I can't live like this. It's ruining my life. I'm in my early mid-20s now, actually late 20s, but at that point I was in my early mid-20s and thought, this is when I'm supposed to be having fun. This is when I should be doing fun, exciting things. I mean, I'm not really the fun, exciting kind of person, but I couldn't even like go to the movies without feeling anxiety, and that's not a way to live. I love staying home watching TV, and that's totally fine. If like that's you, do you. I love doing that and I'm happy doing that, but when I got to the point where I couldn't even be happy doing that, I realized this isn't a way to live happily. This is not, you know, what I want. I know what I want out of life, and the way I'm living right now isn't going to get me there. So I found a therapist, and I want to let you guys know that finding a therapist is not easy. I'm not going to give you false hope with that. Sometimes you meet a therapist and the first therapist you meet is like amazing and you click and they listen to you, and sometimes that's not true. I went to therapy years ago and found someone who, you know, kind of gave me a lot of insight into anxiety and what it was and maybe kind of understand it more, but after a certain point my anxiety just kind of hit a plateau. Like, it wasn't getting better, it wasn't getting worse. Talking about a lot of my stuff wasn't helping anymore. It kind of helped to a point, and then I guess that point was the chemical imbalance in my brain. And I refused to go on medication at that point, so it pretty much just got to the point where like I didn't feel like going to therapy because I was just complaining about like everyday life things. My new therapist actually listens to me and gives me the hard truth. I know this is gonna sound bad, but you want a doctor that's gonna listen to you but also give you the truth even if you don't want to hear it. My last therapist, if I told her from the day one, I told her I do not want to take medication, she said, okay, you know, that's fine. She didn't even like kind of like let me know, well, this might be what you have. You might have a chemical imbalance. She didn't really go there, and at the time I didn't really think, like, I just thought, great, she's listening to me. But now, with my therapist, my new one, I asked her before I went, I said, I am seeking medication because I know for a fact this is a chemical imbalance, and she agreed with me, and she gave me all the options, and I asked her, you know, is there an option other than, you know, medication? And we talked about it, and we really discussed it, and she really listened to what I wanted, but also listened to the facts and how I described my anxiety, and how it came about, and everything, and that's the kind of therapist you need. You need to be really patient, and I know what really sucks a lot about trying to find a therapist with anxiety, like when you have anxiety, is, for me anyway, is going to the doctor makes me more anxious than anything. And even a therapist that's like, you know, you're not getting like a GYN visit or whatever, but just being in a doctor's office. I have like white coat syndrome, and I get super anxious just waiting in the office. It's just something that, it's just, I've always been that way. So going to different doctors and waiting in offices can be really difficult when you have anxiety, but try to get through that because it is worth it. I went to my doctor, the therapist I have now, almost a year and a month ago now, 13 months ago, and my anxiety went from being at like 100% to now maybe 25%. Well, that's not pushed it, maybe like 40%, 50% on some days. But from how bad it was, it's insane that it's gotten so good. In the last year, I've pushed myself to do a lot more, and it's felt a lot easier. I don't know how to describe this because anxiety is different for everyone. That's what makes talking about anxiety so difficult. But for me, it wasn't just panic attacks from certain situations. Like I said, it was everyday anxiety. And it wasn't everyday anxiety where I woke up and had a panic attack every day. It was everyday generalized anxiety where I would be anticipating being anxious, anticipating a panic attack, and I think that's something that a lot of people with anxiety deal with. You can't, once you've felt a panic attack, you have this constant fear of it happening again because it's a terrible feeling, and living in that fear of anxiety is like a cycle. You know, you're afraid of having anxiety, then you have anxiety, and you're afraid of having it, and it's a real nightmare. So pretty much for me what it was I would avoid things, and I would think, oh great, like the whole time building up to like even like a 20-minute drive, I would be constantly like, I'm gonna have a panic attack, I'm gonna have a panic attack, I'm gonna have a panic attack, and that really messes with your brain. And I think even though I was starting to get better with my anxiety, my brain was so used to feeling anxious, it couldn't shut that thought off, and that's something that's been the biggest struggle for me. Even though now I am taking medication every single day for my anxiety, I take it at night, and it's helped me tremendously. Medication is the same as finding a doctor. It's going to take a while to get you the right chemicals that really work with your brain chemistry. So my doctor prescribed me one thing, and within 3 days it made me worse. I was having 3 panic attacks a day. I couldn't eat. I was feeling miserable. And a lot of doctors might say, oh, well, you have to wait longer. You know, it's going to get worse before it gets better, like acne. But my doctor knew how terrible it was. I couldn't function taking that pill. So she realized it was too strong for me. Even though my anxiety is very bad because I am so sensitive to medication, she now put me on like the lowest of the lowest of the lowest possible option, and it worked. I noticed a difference in a week. Not a huge difference, but I definitely noticed myself feeling calmer. And pretty much for the first 6 to 8 months, even though my everyday anxiety was getting so much better, she did also give me a pill for emergencies, which is like if you feel like you're having a panic attack, if you're going to go into something that you know makes you super anxious, like say you were doing like a presentation at work or going on a date or something like that, that's what that emergency kind of pill would be for. In the first almost 8 months, I think, of being with my doctor now, I took that emergency pill maybe twice, and I only take half of it. I was really like something to celebrate for me, because before I went to my doctor, I was at a point where I needed to take Xanax every single day, and that's not the kind of pill you want to take every day. Xanax is something that's very addictive, and you don't want to take that kind of pill every single day. That's for kind of like your panic moments. I did have a prescription for that from an ER doctor from a while ago, and I was kind of saving it up and using it when I needed it, and going from a point where I was like needing to take that or I couldn't function to now taking my one pill at night and just feeling so much more like leveled. Like, it's amazing how leveled I feel. I do get tired more easily. I could sleep a lot longer than I used to because it is a downer kind of a pill. Technically it is an antidepressant, but it is used for anxiety, so obviously talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor, not a professional, but it's crazy how balanced you can feel like when you know what it feels like to be so unbalanced. But even with that balanced feeling, even feeling good and like being in a good mood, my doctor could see just coming into the office how I felt better. My family noticed it, but the problem that I was still having was just kind of recalibrating my brain to think your anxiety is going away. And that's what I had trouble doing. It's kind of like your brain has been conditioned to know you have anxiety and set off these alarms when anything might happen that would cause anxiety. So, you know, if I went somewhere that I had been anxious before or where I had a panic attack before, my brain would like shoot off these alarms going, alert, alert, like you're gonna have a panic attack, even though I wasn't. So my brain was just so used to feeling anxious that I would anticipate things and I would still kind of avoid things, and slowly I stopped avoiding, you know, certain situations and things. But I still, even now sometimes, my brain says, you know, this is gonna make you anxious, like, just poking in, letting you know that you're still having anxiety, and it's annoying. You can't just, like, I'm trying to tell you, you can't just rely on the medication. Yes, it made a huge difference to me, like, it has changed my life, but you do have to do work yourself. I have to constantly remind myself, your anxiety is better. Just because your brain is used to feeling anxious still now, a year later, doesn't mean you're really gonna be anxious. And yeah, so in the last even 3 months, I've made really big strides. Even just like, it sounds so dumb, but just like driving someplace by myself, like 20 minutes away, is such a big deal for me. A while ago, my friend had a party. She lives about an hour away, and a friend of mine was gonna come with me to go to this party. And the day before, I was feeling pretty anxious and nervous, building up to it. I thought, oh my god, like, I'm gonna have a panic attack, I'm gonna have to cancel, I'm gonna feel so guilty. And my brain was doing that because this is the first time I was gonna be driving somewhere, like a long distance, somewhere I'd never been before. And I felt a little bit anxious when I went to pick up my friend, but I made it. Like, we drove there and I was fine, and I was there for longer than I had planned to be, and I was so proud of myself coming home. I could tell myself, you did it. And in the past, when I would do things and like power through my anxiety, I would come home feeling like, why did I do that? I felt miserable the whole time. And that's kind of like how people tell you, you know, face your fears. That's the only way you're going to overcome them. In the past, I've always been the type of person that just thought, what's the point? I don't need to face this fear. Like, I have a fear of roller coasters, and now I don't think I would go on a roller coaster because I'm not missing out on life by doing that, but it's kind of like an analogy. I would say, why face my fear of roller coasters? Like, just to feel scared and like not feel good about it. And that's how I used to feel. You know, I would go away for the weekend or do this or do that and think, you know, I did it, but I don't feel good about it. I feel like just because I did it this time doesn't mean next time's gonna be any better, doesn't mean next time's gonna be easier. And I would talk down to myself and tell myself, even though you did this time, like, next time you're still gonna be anxious. And it was like really negative thoughts that made anxiety even worse. But now when I overcome these like hurdles, I feel proud of myself. I can celebrate them. And I want you guys to know that if you have anxiety, just doing something small, like for me, one of the first things I did to overcome my anxiety was like go to the UPS store by myself to drop off a package. And like, that might seem small and stupid, like everyone's anxiety is different, but for me that was a big deal, and I was really proud of myself about it. And like, those little things, you need to really celebrate them. Don't think, oh my god, like this is so stupid. Like, I know I'm saying it's stupid, but don't like talk down to yourself and say, okay, well, you know, this might have been a thing to celebrate for me, like this is a big deal, big step for me, but I mean, think about other people. Like, this is so dumb, no one's gonna care. And just try not to think about how other people are going to view you. Think about just yourself. Think, this is a big step for me. This is one step on the journey to becoming anxiety-free, or as anxiety-free as you can get. And that's kind of what I've had to do this year, and like taking those little moments and celebrating them has made me a lot happier. You know, from there, when I went to that party, I was just so proud of myself. And it was nice because I also went with a friend who knows all about my anxiety and gets it, and like, she makes me feel very comfortable, so that helped. But since then, I've gone on dates with people who I've never met, like online dating. I know I've done videos about how I'd never online date again, but I did it, and the fact that I actually went on a date was like a massive milestone for me. I mean, even before my anxiety got really bad, I was like super anxious about that. That was just something that was way too like scary for me. I used to even like cancel dates with people from school in high school because I was so anxious, and I didn't even have like anxiety the way I do now then. I could feel my anxiety getting better, and I thought, okay, my anxiety is better. I came to this kind of moment, I guess, where all my friends are happy, like serious relationships, and I'm the one who's like sitting around being like, I'm actually fine. I don't feel super anxious. I don't feel like I'm at a point where if I were to get into a relationship, I would drive the person totally nuts with my anxiety, but I wasn't doing anything about it. You know, I wasn't going and meeting people, and I didn't want to go back to online dating, but I thought, you know what could it hurt? I need to get myself out there. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was single for 5 years, and that's a long time, and I wasn't used to dating. I wasn't used to the flirting and the correspondence and talking to someone every day. I haven't had that in a very, very, very long time. So I thought, you know what, maybe going on online dating is an option for me just to get my toes wet, you know, just to kind of get myself out there and like see if I'm comfortable and like test the waters a bit. So I did go on one date, literally a day after talking to someone, which was like insane for me. Usually I'd be like, let's talk for a month before we even consider like FaceTiming. But I literally met someone right after talking to them. We did have like mutual friends and we went to the same high school, so although we didn't know each other, it kind of made me feel more comfortable. I did take one of my emergency pills beforehand, but still the fact that I even went was like insane. I thought I had a nice time. I didn't think I came across too nervous. He did ghost me, so that was cool, which I kind of should have just like, you know, foreseen. But if a lot of you guys know, I mean, if you watch any of my dating like rant videos, you'd know that I have trouble not having expectations when I go in for a date. You know, I think, why am I wasting my time if this is gonna be this, and like I'm not gonna want to deal with that. And I have my deal breakers and things, but I thought, you know what, let me just follow one of my friend's advice. She always tells me, just go in with no expectations, just go in, have a good time, this couple hours of your life, like you just need the experience. And I thought, you know what, that's true. I've never really been a dater. I've been, you know, in a couple of relationships and like talking to people, but I've never been like a go out on dates kind of person. And I thought, if I really want to meet someone and like find my partner, I'm gonna have to take that risk and just go in with no expectations at all. And I think I did that, and even though that date didn't end up from anything, it just ended up with me being ghosted once again, I didn't feel bummed. I felt annoyed, but I didn't feel sad or disappointed really. I mean, kind of disappointed in humanity in general. That's kind of disrespectful, but I didn't take it personally, and I think that was a big leap for me. That I felt really proud of myself, and instead of like deleting the app and being like, oh, this is garbage, like forget it, I'm gonna stay single forever, I continued to talk to people. And for me, dating is something that is so scary because I've had a lot of issues in the past, and the fact that I kept, you know, talking to people and going on multiple dates with one person and feeling good about it is kind of crazy for me. Like, it's a big deal. I know you guys are probably like, that's like who cares? But for me, that's such a major part of my anxiety, and like worrying that I'd never meet anyone and like have the future I want, and was a big like weight on my shoulders for a long time. And now knowing that I can go on dates, I can drive a half hour to meet someone by myself, it's a big deal for me. And it's not like, I want to keep saying it sounds stupid because it does sound kind of stupid. I could see that how you guys might be like watching this thinking like, what is this girl even talking about? But these little things might seem so small to you or someone who goes on dates all the time, but for me that was such a big thing for me. And to meet someone I actually like and not feel like super down about it and like expecting things just to not work out is really big for me. And it goes from the anxiety of just like meeting up with someone, like the, you know, the butterflies and the sweating and that kind of thing, all the way to the, is this person gonna just ditch me? Is this person gonna hate me? Is this person, you know, gonna not want to put up with my faults and things like that? Like, of course I'm gonna have these questions like everyone does when it comes to dating, but I'm not letting it, you know, eat me alive. I'm not letting it take over. And it feels really, really good. And I'm not trying to brag to you guys who have anxiety. I just want you to know that there is hope and there is ways to do better. I know last time I did an anxiety video, I think I talked about yoga and things like that. And those things are all very, very helpful. And I've done multiple videos on things like that that you can do to help with your anxiety. So you can check those out. I'll either link them below, or you can just like search the word anxiety on my channel and you'll find them. I'm just doing a lot better. I'm really, really happy about it, and I want you guys to know that if you ever want to reach out to me, I'm not a professional, but if you just want to feel related to, you just want someone to listen who gets it, feel free to reach out to me because I really don't mind talking to you guys. I'm just happy that I can help if I can in any way, even if it's just so you guys don't feel alone. I mean, talking to you guys about my anxiety has helped me a lot because I know a lot of people in my life who don't struggle with it can't really get it, no matter how hard they want to, and they really want to understand. Anxiety is something that you really can't understand unless you've dealt with it yourself. So I think that, you know, coming on here and like kind of spilling my guts is really like cathartic for me, and it might be for you too. So that's kind of the update where I'm at right now. I do definitely still have anxiety. I'm not at like 100%. I feel amazing. I have no anxiety. Like, I'm not at that point, but I'm hopeful of that point in the future, and I'm making steps and doing better, and I'm just very happy with where I'm at right now. And I want you guys to know it is possible to be better. And I know you might be in a situation where you think this is going to be like your life forever, and that's how I was a year ago. I was in a point where I thought, forever I'm gonna be, you know, living at my parents' house. I'm never gonna meet someone, I'm never gonna have a family. My life is just gonna be where it is now forever because I can't break out of this rut of anxiety, but you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was kind of what you were hoping for from this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more from me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.